it's me, Golden Betas, and this video is just going to cover about my horses, because a few people on my old channel asked me, sorry, I had a blank mind, asked me about my horses because I never got to do a video on them or anything because, well, I would be the one tacking up the horse and getting it ready and then eventually riding it, and I couldn't be able to film it, and I don't have a GoPro camera. Those are the cameras that can hook up to the helmet and actually can view like what I'm viewing on horseback, but I sadly cannot afford that right now. So then my parents have to video it, and they aren't that good at videoing. It's pretty bad quality from what I do, so I just don't really think that it's a good idea to do it. But I did end up doing one video last year on my old channel, and I was riding a horse, and it got a pretty good amount of views since it was the first video that I had my horse in, and I decided to do another video on my horses. So sadly, one of my horses did die about maybe a half a month ago, maybe a little more, and I am still very, very sad. And his name is Duke. He was an OT, I always forget when I say it, off the track thoroughbred, or off the track racehorse, OTTB I think it is, yeah, off the track thoroughbred. And he was very tall. He's kind of like a reddish chestnut color. That's his like specific name color is a chestnut. He had a black mane and tail. He was really tall. He was about maybe 17 or maybe 16, sorry, I'm trying to guess. Probably around 17 hands tall. So pretty tall. And I never sadly got to ride him because by the time he was a rescue horse, and I'll tell you the entire story later, but yeah, I might as well just go off and start out with the story. So I'm just going to start from the very beginning. And at my old house, we lived out in the country, and me and my mom were in the car, and we were just like riding along, still taking a look at things. So we come by this fenced-in, pretty big lot. It was around maybe an acre and a half, not that big, and it had a horse in it. And I was like, wait, is there a horse in there? And yes, we found out about maybe 2 or 3 weeks later that it was actually family's horse, like my family's horse, and she was in terrible condition. I mean, she had burrs, like those little pricky things, all through her mane and tail. You could not tell there was any hair on her mane or tail. It was just burrs, and it was very, very sad to watch her. But she is very healthy now. She's at a new home, and she's getting very good care and everything, but she was in very bad shape there. She's, from what we've heard, she's been there for over 10 years, barely any care. I'm surprised she lived through it. When we got there was no water in her trough, the big bucket. There was no hay, there was no nothing, and there was fallen down pieces of building. There was glass around some parts, and it was just very dangerous for her. And we ended up naming her Rosa, and she ended up being some type of pony. We don't know what type since she is a rescue, but she is a little taller than me, and I'm only like 5 foot, maybe 5'2", and she's probably 5'4" or 5, and so she's a pretty small horse. But she might classify as a horse. We haven't taken drastic measures as in measuring her yet, but she does look like a horse. But anyways, she is brown with a black mane and tail, and that's called a bay horse, that kind of color. And she had a white spot on her leg, which is called a stocking. I'm just telling you all this information because I don't even know why. But on her hind right, and she has a little stripe down her face, and she is the cutest horse ever, and I miss her so much. I haven't gotten to see her since November last year, and I am super freaking, sorry for my language for those younger viewers out there, freaking mad at the owners, because when the horses were at a place, which I'll get back to later, They said, oh yeah, you can come over whenever you want. You could ride them once we break them in. They ended up breaking Duke and Rosa in happily, and it didn't take that long. And they ended up breaking in, which I was super excited about, and I would finally get to ride Western instead of English, and I was super psyched. But we ended up going every other weekend instead of every weekend, which we planned, and then they never called us back since November of 2014. It is now February 18th of 2015. I think that's something messed up. They never called back. They never did anything till about 2 weeks ago. They go, hey, yeah, sorry we haven't been calling you back, but your horse died. And I don't understand how that works. I don't understand why they didn't call back if they did have our number. And we texted and called them about 8 times, maybe, and they still would not call back. And my mom is not the one to take drastic measures, so she did not go over there to check or anything. So they finally call, and Duke is dead, and we are just super sad, and I'm still really sad I never even got to ride him or anything, but he was one of my best friends since I took care of him for about close to 2 years. I mean, we grew pretty close. And yeah, so back to the story. So once we figured out that Rosa was our family's horse, we looked into family who could take her if we had to give her up to a better home, which we wouldn't be able to, like, call or anything to, which would make me really sad, and which is happening now, sadly. But, and it turns out that my grandpa's cousin had a horse, which was Duke, on their property, and it was about a maybe 3-acre lot with terrible fencing, and I never got to see where they were going before they took Rosa over to where Duke was, which I was still pretty mad about because I should be able to know where my horse was going. But they said it was really nice and everything. Total opposite. Their fence was falling down. It was not even suitable gates. There was a little shed about maybe half is, not half, because I have a really small room, maybe like 1/3 as big as my room, that could pretty much only fit one horse in it with only 3 sides, so it is not protected by weather. The horses would stand out in storms, snow, everything, and it was terrible. So we had to go over there almost every day and feed them, water them, and I occasionally groomed them if it was possible, if there was an area where we could, because we could not tie them up anywhere. And Rosa was a super, super nice horse. She always would let me groom her. She would not walk away. She was halter broken. She's like dream horse, and she was great when I rode her, but yeah, she would always stay in place. And Duke, I groomed him a pretty good amount of times, but I groomed Rosa a lot, and she did very well. Just letting you know, she's the friendliest horse you could ever meet. But after we found out that they weren't going to go anywhere for a long time, and they were going to stay there for a long amount of time, we were just like, ugh. And then we moved from my old house pretty much like 20 minutes away, which took a lot of our gas money, a lot of money away from that we could use to buy other things for the horses, like extra hay and stuff, and we just could not do it anymore. So my mom's friend, her name is Angela, she owns a pretty big farm. She has a lot of horses there, big, huge draft horses, and her partner's brother said that he had a farm and that he already had 4 other horses over there, and he would be glad to take them. We could do everything. We could come over. We could groom them, ride them, everything. And I was so happy that, oh my gosh, we're actually going to go to a nice barn. And turns out that it is a pretty nice place. There's a lot of horses. There's ponies and everything. But it's just we couldn't go over there a lot. And yeah, and that's basically it. I haven't seen Rosa for a long time, but she is my best friend. But I do ride a horse currently. She is also an off-the-track thoroughbred, but she isn't that tall. Her name is Paisley, and I ride her every week, and I just smile whenever I think about her because she's just awesome. I will show you a pic of me jumping her right now. So, yeah, sorry it's like really blurry, but here you go. Okay, I'm back. Okay, so that was Paisley, and she is a gorgeous horse. She is very pretty, and she is the nicest horse close to Rosa that I've ever met. And she is needing some rehabilitation because she still bucks and kicks when she gets into like the faster paces. But she is a very good horse, and I might end up leasing her, which is technically buying her, which I really want to do, but it's like $400 a month, which I cannot do. I'm broke. But yeah, I love her to death. And she's doing really good, and she's at a really nice barn, and yeah, that's basically it for my horses. I mean, there's not really anything else, but I have been riding for pretty much my entire life. I have a picture of me in my diaper in cowboy boots, so just to let you know, I've been riding my entire life. I've always loved horses. I've had a passion for them, and they just make me smile. So I hope you guys enjoy this video, and basically explains my love for horses. So see you guys later.